Hi, my name's Keith Cooper, Northlight Images, and this is a look at a book I got recently from a second-hand bookshop in Aldeburgh. They were having a sale of large photo books, and I came away with an armful because they were at £2 each, or actually if you had a whole armful it was less than that. It was 7 for £10 or something like that. Anyway, I've produced many videos looking at photography ideas and inspirations that come from books. What about this one here? This one here is called, the book's called The Wild Emperor. It is a series of pictures. It is every picture taken from the same spot. And in some ways it's produced by Maryam and Rolf Sachs. It's the camera's in Germany. It's looking over the border at some mountains in Austria, and it's lots of pictures of the same view. You think, well, how do you fill a whole book with that? Well, what they did was actually set up a camera. This was done a few years ago, and it was done with what would be, by today's standards, a pretty low resolution camera. And when you look at the size of the prints they made from it, it's certainly stretching technology at the time. But anyway, rather nice book. A coffee table book, the sort of book you can use as a coffee table, I mean by that. It is set to take, the camera was set up looking at this particular view. There's a road. Obviously this is in the winter. It's set to take a picture roughly every 10 and a half minutes. Now these pictures, and it produced over 40,000, nearly 50,000 pictures in the course of a full year. So you've got pictures taken every 10 minutes. And the question immediately that comes to mind, to some, not necessarily at all, would be, if the photographer merely set the scene and then set the camera going, does it count as taking photos? Well, I'm going to say yes, because, and I'll show some of the examples out of it. It is what you do with those 50,000 pictures which really matters. The view is as you'd expect, up in the mountains. There's snow during the winter. If I go back right to the end, let's have a look. And it's a chunky old book. We've got some of the process that the creators of this went through, producing prints, producing a few large prints. It's got a view of exactly where it is, so you can find it on the map. And there's some technical details. Now, I include this as much for its historical interest as anything, because it used the old Kodak DCS SLR. Now, I remember this because at the time I had an 11 megapixel Canon 1DS and was producing and have produced large prints from it. This one was 14.7 million pixels. It does it. The one bit I do enjoy about this, it says, obviously the pictures were taken, they've been processed. You needed, obviously, from that camera, you needed to process them. But it says software, no tampering. Now, yeah, fair enough. I think that's probably lost in translation, that one. The photos, they were all printed, they were laid out and then picked to put together. How do you curate something like this? Well, if you've ever tried taking lots of pictures of something and putting together a sequence, and it's an interesting thing. As an architectural photographer, I've done things where I've gone to a building where I've got a few hours and I photographed it as the light changes. Nothing original there. Claude Monet did an excellent example of it, the cathedral front. But it's worthwhile doing to get a feeling for lighting. Similarly, I produced a video that looked at how the light changes in the sort of few minutes before and hour after sunset, in looking at buildings and that, and how when you're doing buildings, because you've got street lighting, you've got interior lighting, how the mix of lighting changes over time. It's important, for me as an architectural photographer, to do things like that, just as an experiment, just to get a better feel for light. Not everywhere that I photograph has brilliant sunlight. Picture in the background here. This fascinates me because it's the sort of thing I can imagine doing. It's some nice pictures in it. Now, here is an example. This is, and there are thumbnails of all the pictures. There are 143 pictures were picked from the 50,000. So there must be an awful lot very, very similar. They run through the night, sun in different places. Obviously the seasons and everything changes as well. So you've got all of that. There's still that little bit that says, you know, you didn't actually take those pictures. Yeah, you just recorded. You could say, well, yes, it's the equivalent of me being at the scene and deciding afterwards. And it's obviously much easier to decide from 40, well, I can say easy, to decide from 50,000 pictures which ones you like. That is a process in itself. But there are some really nice looking pictures here. And they do make you think about how much the environment contributes to landscape. And I did a video just recently looking at going back to a scene, and from another book I got from this sale, and this amplifies that even more. I would imagine after doing this they probably never wanted to take a picture of that scene again, but it's a lot of work and it's interesting. This book, I notice, is still listed. I noticed it was available on Amazon and a few others. I'll put the full notes to it, in full link to to it in the notes. But yeah, this is one where most of these books, when I get them, you've got no chance of finding them ever again because they'll be out of print. They're not just whole prints. Here's an example, and there's a lovely bit of digital noise in the sky here, taken, who knows, late at night. The details are all there if you want to, but we've got just double page spread taken from it, and this really does show the limitations of 14.7 megapixels when you're enlarging to this size. Certainly not a camera you'd pick these days, but this was done, you know, near 20 years ago, so it's not that bad. In fact, I was quite impressed by the quality of it from it, having actually used similar equipment at the time. There we go. There's at night. There's the detail during the day. Typical colours, so you can guess the season from the colours of that. The pictures just look really nice. And it's one of those ones, on a misty, foggy day, can't see the mountains. Another day here, oh, there's some hot air balloons going by. It is an excellent study in lighting. Now, I'm not going to suggest that if you're bored and looking for inspiration, you do something on this scale. But certainly, if you've got somewhere that you can do a sequence of pictures, whether it's from your loft window or something like that, it's worth looking at it. These are not just typical criticism might be levelled. These are like security camera footage where you've just picked select frames. Nothing wrong with that really. These are much better quality. It's just it. So another nighttime one. Lots of noise in it. I would say, knowing the files from cameras of that age, when it says no tampering in the notes there, there was a bit of processing done here to get it to this point where it would print okay. You've just got colours, it's everything. It's just a really nice... I'm going to assume that's the moon. I have to look up the index for it. But yeah, just an interesting book to look through. This is one of those ones that I thought, it's the same view. And I looked through it a bit more careful, and I really appreciate the work that's gone into it, both from a technical point of view and from a creative point of view in actually picking what it is. If you've never tried doing sequences of pictures, linking pictures together, give it a go. Try and show some of the flow of time. You don't have to print them, but sequence on an afternoon around sunset. It's nice and easy then because things are changing quite quickly. If you're really keen, you can do around dawn as well, but I take very few dawn pictures because I just can't be bothered to get up early for stuff like that. Not unless somebody's paying me. If someone's paying me, yes, I will happily go and do it. But yeah, a book that I wouldn't say I was surprised I enjoyed it, but it was more than I thought it would be, and it made me think, and that is the key. So, if you've got a second-hand bookshop anywhere near, Go and see if they've got any photography books. I want to go back to this one and see whether they had this particular one and come away with a few more armfuls of photography books. But anyway, The Wild Emperor, Maryam and Rolf Sachs. I put links in the notes if you're curious. But yeah, makes you think about your own photos when you try and incorporate an element of time into them. Hope that's of some interest. Yeah, if you can find the book, have a look at it. And thanks for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.